Hello, this is Meiqin Wang. Thank you for listening to my presentation today entitled Ecology as Method, Meinung Yellow Butterfly Festival, and Community-Based Environmental Activism. In the morning of July 21, 2021, I was observing the creation of Wind of Summer, a massive environmental artwork in the famous tropical forest Yellow Butterfly Valley of Meinung town. Located in southern Taiwan, this is a rural town inhabited by mostly Hakka people, an ethnic minority in Taiwan, who have created a distinctive agrarian cultural tradition and rural landscape. Sculptor Wang Yaojun worked on the piece with the help of his artist wife, their daughter and son, created in the shape of a gigantic squirrel from organic materials such as vines and tree branches. The work represents a forest elf and embodies one's appreciation of the dynamic, poetic, and mysterious natural world in the forest. He puts, "The innocent life exists because of the abundant water, fertile soil, and healthy forest." Both Wang and his wife are nature-loving people who live in a house situated amid farm fields bordering a foothill area in Meinung, where squirrels frequent. He started in early July to construct the framework of the creature at his backyard. Then, this structure was transported to the forest, where the family worked together for 2 more weeks until its completion. An unpretentious artwork made of and for nature, Wind of Summer was intended to continue to be in a natural setting until it breaks down naturally, without leaving much art-induced garbage behind. This simple piece embodies a profound respect for nature, both its nourishing and destructive capabilities, and a desire to work with nature force while reducing the environmental footprints of art to minimum. This is an ecologically sensitive paradigm of thinking that has shaped much of Meinung's community development. As the main environmental artwork commissioned by the 23rd Meinung Yellow Butterfly Festival, or MIBF, in 2021, Wind of Summer carries on characteristics of artistic production promoted at the MIBF: environment and family-friendly, community-based, and simple and profound at once. By the way, squirrel also appears as the background image of the festival's poster. Founded in 1995, MIBF is one of the earliest ecological festivals in East Asia and the first in Taiwan to integrate the protection of natural ecosystems and the promotion of Hakka culture. It is the lasting legacy of Meinung anti-dam movement, the legendary grassroots mobilization initiated by local environmental and intellectual activists in 1992, upon learning about the government's plan to construct a dam in the valley to supply water for heavy industrial projects. The forest I visited would be entirely submerged in water if the dam was constructed. Concerned about the dam's potential threat to the safety of local communities and permanent damage to the rich ecosystems in the valley, activists quickly launched an anti-dam campaign. They formed organizations and made alignments with local community leaders, politicians, teachers, students, and farmers, as well as international scholars and organizations to advance an anti-dam movement. The annual MIBF was born for the purpose and served as a major platform facilitating people of different backgrounds to concentrate their energy, knowledge, and social resources for the anti-dam movement. With well-coordinated efforts, the movement was able to last for 8 years, forcing official budget for the dam to be eliminated multiple times, and eventually it achieved a significant success in 2000 when the newly elected President Chen Shui-bian promised not to build the dam. MIBF has since become the cultural symbol of a rural community dedicated to take control of the development of their own homeland against the tide of industrialization and rural decline. Importantly, it continues to function as an ecology-led platform to promote environmental protection, ecological literacy, and sustainable community development. The first couple editions of MIBF, taking place at the valley location of the proposed dam, was a half-day event. the organizers carried out a butterfly ceremony following a ritual practice passed on by generations of Hakka people who had lived an earthbound life and embraced the principle of worship of nature and reverence to heaven and earth. This was the ritual dedicated to yellow butterflies that used to appear in millions fluttering around the valley in summer, and for which the Yellow Butterfly Valley, YBV, was named. By extension, the ritual paid tribute to all life forms that once populated the valley and honored the interdependent human-nature relationships. Participants dressed in traditional blue Hakka outfits, burned incense, paid tribute to Earth God, Mountain God, and Heaven God. They then recited Ecological Treaty for the Yellow Butterfly Valley as a collective oath to protect nature and the ecological diversity of the valley. Butterfly ceremony apologized to nature for the damages human beings had done to the area and all sentient beings there, such as plants, animals, and insects, while also summoned for the return of yellow butterflies. The purpose of butterfly ceremony was to integrate contemporary ecological concepts with vernacular ritual tradition so as to foster ecological awareness among local communities and beyond. At this ceremony, the humble yellow butterfly was consecrated and became a new spiritual symbol representing the environment, the ecology, and the whole natural world to be honored, thus the name of MyBF. The butterfly ceremony would become the core program of MyBF, to be continued in all following editions, although with minor variations. Other activities have been gradually added as the scope of MyBF's influence expands, and sometimes new programs have replaced older ones as the main theme of the festival changed in different years. For example, in 1997, the third MyBF brought up the idea of establishing an ecological natural park, and the Yellow Butterfly Valley Ecological Referendum was held to build local consensus. Also that year, the organizers added a concert and a performance skit to the festival. A new feature introduced in 2004 and has since become a tradition of MyBF is the programs training young volunteers. This took two steps. First, in the early preparation stage, local youth were recruited in a training camp led by senior volunteers and went through intensive training courses. Second, these young volunteers would then participate in the actual operation of the festival. These programs have facilitated the intergenerational transfer of vernacular knowledge and wisdom in environmental stewardship developed by traditional Hakka agricultural communities. Practically, these programs have allowed MyBF to engage with younger generations and enable its continuous growth by cultivating and recruiting new blood for the organization. As such, MyBF grew from the originally half-day event into a full-fledged community festival with series of programs spanning several months by the beginning of the 21st century. In the 2010s, Taiwan began witnessing the proliferation of community-based art festivals across the island in the name of land art or environmental art. In response, MyBF has increasingly aligned with this growing trend and seen itself transformed from an ecological festival into an environmental art festival. Another important development was that MyBF was converted from an annual event into a biennial, beginning with its 20th edition in 2015. Assuming the new identity of Environmental Art Biennial, MyBF began consciously embracing the production of environmental and ecologically conscious public artworks as a major goal via which to lend the force of art to support MyBF's evolving mission. Exhibition, workshop, public talk, field trip, guided tour, youth camp, volunteer training, artist in residence program, sports, craft fair, farmers market, among others. Integrating ecological consciousness in collective learning and community collaboration has been the signature approach of MyBF in its various programs. So is its effort to ground its operation on Meinung's traditions and natural resources. For example, the organizers reflected that they used to print a large number of posters, postcards, and other publicity materials every year to advertise the festival, all of which inevitably involved resource consumption and environmental pollution in the process, such as the wastewater discharged from machine printing and the use of a large amount of paper. In 2015, they decided on manual printing with limited editions of posters as if they had to return to the pre-modern era, a time when materials and resources were highly cherished. Artist Lin Chunyong was invited to lead an art project on traditional paper making and printmaking for the purpose. He worked with elementary school students and middle school students in Meinung for several months, during which students learned from scratch by collecting bark, making paper, creating and cutting wood blocks, and producing robins. Participants not only learned these traditional techniques, but also collaboratively designed and manually printed the much celebrated poster and flyers for the year's festival. In another example, Liu Yanling was one of the local artists commissioned for environmental artworks in 2019. A fiber artist skillful in weaving with plant-based materials, she led a one-week workshop that took adults and young participants, several of them were families, to explore the flora in the valley, learn about natural materials, and observe and experience nature through one's bodily immersion into it. They collected durable vines from the forest and individually weaved animal forms based on personal preferences, such as bee, butterfly, dragonfly, fish, lizard, etc. All these were then integrated into a collective environmental art piece, We Wave a Dream in a Tree, as the final product of their collaboration. After its showcase during the festival, the work was left to break down on its own, and its biodegradable materials all returned back to nature. Coming back to the 2021 edition of MyBF, it was hosted by two local non-profit organizations, the Meinung People's Association (MPA), founded in 1994, and the Yellow Butterfly Valley Indian Pitta Workshop, founded in 1993, as it has always been. Both organizations played crucial roles in the anti-dam movement, and they have remained active in Meinung. MPA, in particular, has evolved into a social organization that considers itself the custodian of a never-ending community movement. This year, they chose a theme for MyBF that was more relevant than ever in our environmentally and socially battered world: relationship repair. The theme called out three sets of broken relationships: human beings' relationship with nature, with others, and with oneself. These troubled relationships were at once exposed by and worsened by the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Solutions apparently are to be found from addressing problems at the source, which is to rediscover the lost connections between human society and the nature and among humans themselves. The theme, relationship repair, was dedicated to promoting reparative learning and actions to improve human-nature relations. Due to restrictions on mobility and public gathering as a pandemic prevention measure, the 2021 MyBF mainly operated virtually with a much reduced scale. It officially kicked off on July 15th with a teenager ecological camp. This was followed by a youth art camp. Both belonged to the training activities program of MyBF that spanned across art, ecology, education, and scholarship, with young people as the intended participants and audience. The second program group was serial activities. It started with a publicity section on July 18th, showcasing visual arts, music, and creative writings produced from a performance workshop held by MyBF the year before, exploring interactions of land, river, and people. This was followed by a public screening on July 24th of a documentary that recorded a habitat walk exploring the current ecosystem of the Meinung Creek and shedding light on plants, insects, and wild animals who make home in and around the creek. The third program group was called Thematic Activities, and it started on July 31st with the signature butterfly ceremony, one of the most attended activities of MyBF since its inception. This year, due to the pandemic, the ceremony was not open to public participation. Organizers carried out the ceremony on their own, which was recorded and made available via MyBF's official Facebook page and other social media channels. The butterfly ceremony was followed by 2 other thematic activities in August, an artist talk and public discussion on this year's environmental artwork Wind of Summer, and a concert featuring songs in Hakka dialect. Both Environmental Art Commission and concert have been signature components of MyBF, but this year they were in smaller scale and presented online. The last activity was a performance art workshop that lasted for a week in September, the only program that was carried out in real physical space, specifically along the creek and forest in the valley. In addition, a number of virtual talks were hosted for public during these months, in which scholars and artists gave in-depth discussion on topics related to ecology and community-based public art. All these programs reflected MyBF's commitment to advance the cause of environmental protection, ecological literacy, and sustainable development. For example, this year's concert was titled Repair Rebirth, which took place in the forest without a public audience, but was broadcasted live via YouTube. It featured regional and local musicians and bands specialized in singing in Hakka language. As one of the staple thematic activities of MyBF, the concert reflected the organizers' aspiration that musical creation in native language to express care for the native land. As usual, the concert not only invited established musicians to perform, but also served as a platform for emerging talents in its effort to encourage more young people to invest in native language music making and pay attention to the land and the environment. Aligning with the festival theme Relationship Repair, the Repair Rebirth concert sought to deploy music as a community engagement tool to repair the relationship between individuals and nature, others, and oneself. Artistic creation here is expected to stimulate new thinking and lead to reparative actions, resulting in a rebirth of human-nature relationships. Coming back to Wind of Summer, it was also the subject of a short video of the same title by Lau Weiwei, a local video artist and filmmaker who participated in an early edition of MyBF as an undergraduate student and who directed the aforementioned documentary of the habitat work. The video not only recorded the creative process itself, but also provided with personal interpretation of the interrelation between one's artwork and the natural ecology of Meinung. The video was released for online viewing to prepare the audience before they participated in the online artist talk held by MyBF to celebrate the completion of the installation. Such multidimensional and creative collaborations have been a typical approach of MyBF that guides much of its operations. To conclude, I want to say that the MyBF has evolved into an encompassing eco-public art project, given its commitment to ecological literacy and sustainable human-world interactions via public arts production and collaborative community experiences. It is part and parcel of the ongoing environmental activism in Taiwan that strives to advance the discourse of ecological protection and promote alternative, non-exploitative imaginations about the relationship between human beings and nature. MyBF's continuous operation has fostered a vibrant community culture centering on ecology-friendly agricultural practices, alternative lifestyle experiments, and public arts productions in Meinung town and its surrounding villages. Through bringing people close to nature, to farming, and to each other, MyBF has also contributed to new forms of art and cultural production, rural living, community experiences, and social imaginations. Integrating environmental activism, ecological literacy, community building, and public arts production, Meiqin presents an inspiring case of the much-needed collaborative and collective endeavor in our age of climate change, extreme weather events, and pollutions of all kinds in the air, soil, and water. In seeking to break free from the constraints of the capitalism-fueled modernist logics, it contributes to new possibilities for life to manifest itself, not just human lives, but lives of all sentient beings that share the planet Earth.